for coming, guys. Welcome to February's UX Meetup. My name is Abegail Otero, and I'm the host of this meetup, but I am not the only one who runs the show. We have JD here, Brian, and John's here. So I have a team that helps me run this meetup group, and thankful for the team who comes to help put together this meetup for you guys. What we do for this meetup is we talk about all things UX and product, and it's not limited to UX designers. It's also for developers, product managers, founders, or those who are just interested in learning about more about design. And so we have this monthly meetup, but we also do workshops online and in person outside of this. And so if you're interested, I don't have a slide up today, but if you find me on Instagram, join our or us on Instagram, which is Team UXLV on Instagram, and you can follow along to see our latest events. One coming up next month will be a font walk downtown Las Vegas, where we go downtown and we kind of find different fonts and talk about the different, how font impacts the way that we read things. So yeah, definitely stay tuned if you're interested in that. I want to introduce the next speaker, who's Walbert. I know him as founder and friend from Astoria. He is, or was a creative director at AWS and is moving into the food space, founder of Astoria. And I probably can't do the due diligence of explaining what he does, but he is an amazing and talented creative, and I'm glad to call him friend. Today he's going to be speaking about branding and storytelling in video. We're in for such a treat. So let's give it a round of applause for our speaker today.
Thank you, Abigail, and thank you all for being here. I just want to preface up front that I am actually horrible at public speaking, and I'm really great when it comes to one-on-ones with you at the restaurant. So if you ever come to the restaurant, I will be so glad to host you. But yeah, thank you all for your patience. And so let's get things started. So yeah, why your story matters. And essentially, to kick things off, my name is Walbert, and today we're talking about why your story matters. And it's not just a marketing tactic. It's a strategic pillar for building brands through video storytelling. And so to kick things off, I'm actually going to share a video that I directed and produced to kind of set the tone.
Kisiwa hichi nilikuwa nakijua nilipokuwa mdogo, na hali ya samaki walikuwa wengi, lakini sasa hivi mafuriko yanatishia amani.
The pressure of the salt water is coming in the villages. Without mango, after maybe 20-25 years, Zanzibar will disappear. No Zanzibar.
Natumaini mambo yatabadilika.
I'm Zanzibarian and I'm living in these small islands in Zanzibar. And I personally experience the impacts of the climate change to my localities. The damage of the houses, damage of the infrastructure, displacement of the people from one place to another, brackish drinking water. Because of the impact of the climate change, that is saltwater intrusion, this is happening now. When we have mangroves along the coastal area, they are used to protect the earth from coastal erosion.
Mangrove is necessary for fish because the small fish live in the upper root of mangroves.
Mangroves play an essential role to the society by absorbing large amount of the carbon dioxide. Mangroves has ability to absorb about 3 to 4 times the carbon dioxide over the other forests.
Sorry.
Climate
So
change
she was saying,
impacts
thank you so much.
the
She
survival
was
of
saying
these
the
mangroves.
speaker was giving her a headache. Is there a way to, let's maybe.
Anthropogenic influences severely impact the mangroves and the ecosystem. They are cutting down these mangroves because of their man-made activities. They prefer firewood material from those mangroves. They were not aware of the advantages of mangrove, and also they were not aware of the impact of the climate change. What are the proper measures to be taken so as to combat these impacts?
These members are student-related.
So yeah, that's just a snippet of some of my most recent work with AWS, also known as Amazon Web Services. That was a documentary series that I had worked on, a 5-part docu-series where I raised $1.25 million internally to be able to create a 5-part documentary series in alignment with the CTO of Amazon. And so what was really cool was that, that is really, I would say, the ability for me to have had the chance to bring something to life through video. Essentially, Climate Next is a documentary series about people using technology to fight climate change. And so what better way to show that than through showing how they use AWS to do that, or cloud computing technology. So well, thank you all for being here. This will be the agenda for today. I have a lot to share, so hopefully I can condense everything so we can make sure your time is most efficient. Cool. So we don't have a content problem, we have a clarity problem. In a world where everyone is shouting, there's so much noise on social, being louder actually doesn't work, but being clearer does. Who here thinks that when you go to social media, it's all about the hooks nowadays? Raise your hand. Yeah. So really it's like you see all these hooks, but do you feel like you're actively being engaged? People's attention spans are shorter than a goldfish these days. So really, when you see a company, a startup, an influencer, a content creator, do more posts equal uniqueness and value? Maybe not. And I think one thing that we all have to sort of have the consensus with is posting more doesn't equal differentiation. But true differentiation comes from clear positioning, which builds trust. If the audience doesn't understand you, how else are they ever going to trust you, right? And so I think it's so important to know that trust is everything in this noisy space that we all are currently operating in. And so what happens when a story is unclear? Well, when a story is unclear, the organization breaks down. Marketing, product, and sales all say different things. This misalignment slows growth and transformation. If you can't get everyone on the same page literally, how else are you going to expand and scale appropriately? For the UX and UI folks here, think of this as a broken user journey for your brand. And so what happens when a story is unclear? I listed it out earlier, but marketing says one thing, product says another, sales improvises, founders repeat themselves. Misalignment actually slows growth. So where does my story begin? Well, it starts here in Champaign-Urbana, August 2012 when I first moved in. I'm actually from Chicago, Illinois, and I went to school for journalism. And so, in my head, I'm like, why am I even here talking to you all about, brand marketing in a tech-related space? Well, this is why I care. I care because I've spent the past 10 years building narrative systems across national media publications, enterprise technology systems, and I even started my own restaurant here in Vegas. And so the lesson is always the same: clarity builds trust. And so this was kind of my journey. That middle frame that you saw there, that was from the documentary that you saw like earlier in the beginning. And so, you know, this opportunity to be able to connect with people on the ground and hear their origin story was something I clung to very closely. So my first job out of college was working at USA Today. Before that, I had the opportunity to intern at the White House during the Obama administration, and then also CNN. So it's been really cool to have this opportunity to start out strong and have this opportunity to work at a place like USA Today for 5 years, right out the get-go. And so producing breaking news, long-form investigative video, and enterprise documentaries was my niche. What was really cool was that my managers and the leaders there, they started noticing that I had this profound ability to actually take complex topics across the news sort of landscape and break that down into 60-second news pieces. And so what that ended up happening was I ended up leading the marquee explainer series called Just the Facts, where we had 150 plus explainer videos. I had my own team at the age of 4, and we were producing 2.5 monthly views across channels. So that was kind of my big thing. I was like, wow, like I look like I'm the intern, and I'm like bringing all these folks together who have been here for years. If you cannot explain your product in less than 90 seconds, your audience will not do the work for you. Again, clarity earns attention.
The 2018 wildfire season was the deadliest and most destructive ever recorded in California, according to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. Across the West, fires are starting sooner in the year, lasting longer, and getting bigger. And if they seem to be trending more apocalyptic, they are. Fires start with 3 things: fuel, oxygen, and heat. When temperatures are high, precipitation and humidity low, and winds are swirling, it's prime time for fires. Add in a spark, be it natural like lightning, or man-made like a downed power line, a discarded cigarette, or a campfire, then bam! You've got yourself a fire. And with high winds, a low Santa Anas, and lots of fuel, the fire can become a rager. Fires have been increasing in numbers and intensity out west for 3 big reasons. First, the western U.S. has been getting warmer and drier due to climate change, making it prime territory for fires to start and spread. Since 1970, temperatures in forested parts of the West have gone up about 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're expected to keep rising. Snow melts and spring thaws are happening earlier in the year too. The result, forests and vegetation are getting drier. Because of warmer weather and the resulting aridity out west, from 1984 to 2015, fires spread an additional 16,000 square miles than they otherwise would have. That's the size of Massachusetts and Connecticut combined. Second, suburbanization into...
And here's another video.
Though Ukraine may be small compared...
Here's another video from that same series.
Though Ukraine may be small compared to the US, it's sure playing a big role in US foreign policy. Ever since Ukraine left the former Soviet Union in 1991, it's been sparring with Russia and trying to defend itself and its sovereignty. So in comes the US, who's been giving Ukraine large amounts of foreign, humanitarian, and military aid. Since Russia's invasion in 2014, when it annexed Crimea and backed separatists in eastern Ukraine, US aid has shot up. Over the past 5 years, the United States has provided Ukraine with $1.5 billion in security aid alone. The US has been backing Ukraine largely to counter Russian aggression and promote democracy and Western values in the region. But the US also has economic interests in Ukraine. In 2017,
So yeah, that gives you a bit of, what I did, in my lead up at USA Today. Essentially, we were taking complex news topics and distilling it for every single news article that would be published. So imagine, who knows what the term evergreen is here? Does anyone want to answer what that might be? Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, what does evergreen mean?
Evergreen is, at least to my limited thought, is topics that will never go out of style, or things or subjects that people will always care about no matter the time or space.
Awesome. Yeah, and just like an evergreen tree, it'll continue to say green no matter what season, right? So things to think about whenever you have your content that, how many places can it coexist in? Thank you for sharing that. But you know, something inside of me also was building, and I would be remiss to share more about my own origin story. As a second-generation Filipino-American living in the Chicago suburbs, I actually didn't surround myself with any Filipinos because I had no one there in sight. And so in the newsroom, I would also see the same thing. I would be the only Filipino working there as the only journalist. And you know, there were opportunities for me to be able to share my story through the work that I was doing. And so looking inwards, I really wanted to focus on creating things that I felt passionate about. So I'm going to share another quick video here as well.
America is blindsided with respect to Filipino veterans.
Many people don't know that the United States had in their ranks during World War II several 100,000 Filipinos who fought for America.
The story has to be told, just so it will never be forgotten.
My name is Celestino G. Almeida. I was born June 8, 1917. I was commissioned as third lieutenant when I was called to active duty. And so today I am 100 years old and 4 months.
My name is Remigio Cabakar, a native of the Philippines. I'm 90 years old at present time. But when I joined the military, I was just 17.
So that was just kind of a snippet of some of the things that I had covered at USA Today. But at the end of the day, when I was working there, I felt that while I was able to find stories that I could break down into 90 seconds or less, I also realized that as someone who was at the front lines, who had a seat at the table, I had it within me to also share the stories that were worth telling. And so that continues to be a thread that I'd love for you to think about as I go through this presentation. But to keep things going, I then worked at AWS for 6 years. This role, I learned that story isn't just decorative, it's infrastructure. We used video to align global teams and launch complex products like EKS, Climate Next, and really, storytelling here is how you achieve alignment at scale. And so this is kind of the work that I had done. One of the biggest projects I had at AWS was creating the playbook or the guidelines for all product launches. So whenever you see a product launch go out into the sphere of AWS on their YouTube, at reInvent, on social, that was built with the foundation that I put together for AWS. So just really exciting to see how, things can be shown at scale. And this is a bit more about some of the work that I've done. For those that are curious about what the role of a creative video director might be, I work with several agencies to help execute a topical idea that I have. And so from start to finish, I essentially work with a handful of agencies to ensure that the style is consistent, but also allow there to be some personality and some fun as well. And some of these videos, we're always thinking about ways to change the ratio and things of that nature when video is evolving ever so high.
Today, organizations face increasing pressure to deliver speed, resilience, and scalability for running their most demanding workloads in the cloud. Highly efficient, secure, and ultra-reliable cloud storage isn't just an advantage, it's essential. Without the right solution, performance gaps and rising costs can hold you back. Introducing Amazon Elastic Block Store, an easy-to-use, secure, scalable, high-performance block storage service, seamlessly integrated with Amazon EC2. EBS transforms how you store, access, and protect data across diverse use cases. With
So in the same way that I took all of this complex data from news, I was also able to bring that type of energy to AWS and essentially distill and break down, what this product might entail and do that through video, right? But one thing has always stood throughout. I was always passionate about wanting to dig deeper into the origin stories of the who, what, when, where, and why, and stay true to my journalism roots as an individual. One of the things that I find is really crucial when it comes to storytelling is being able to ask yourself the how or the why. When I was at USA Today, every video that was published, and whenever we had a pitch at the 9 a.m. meeting, we would always ask ourselves how or why. And essentially, those two leading questions allowed us to craft the headline and then create the video with supporting reasons to support the how or why. And so with that being said, I continue to take that in ways where we can say the how and the why when it comes to the people and not just the product. I would love to share this next video. It's going to take a while to get to the end of the video, but I'll send the link if anything, and maybe folks can can also scan it as well if they need to. But we ended up going to Singapore to speak to the CEO of this satellite broadband technology company. And he was so stern, very monotone in the way that he spoke. And I was like, is this guy, I was just trying to crack through and try to find that breakthrough moment. I was like, is this guy even human? Can he share a bit more emotion? Can he read off of the PR script and just share more about himself, about who he is? And when we wrapped up the interview, I was like, wait, I have to ask one more question. And so I asked him the why. Why do you do what you do? He paused, and then he started crying. He does this because he knows what it's like to live in a third world country, to not have access to any technology. And so when he talked about the work that he was doing, he kind of broke down and he shared his response. So I'll share a bit about, I'll share this video shortly and then we can keep going.
As time goes on, technology improves, developed countries with reliable internet access grow faster. But for many, many rural communities, things like basic internet are actually very, very difficult to come by. So our mission is to reduce the digital divide because it's a matter of opportunity. And using AWS technology, we managed to do this not by laying out terrestrial infrastructure, but instead directly through space. Pacific is a next-generation satellite operator based in Singapore. We supply high-speed broadband internet via Pacific One, our satellite. Satellite internet is actually very complex. There are many, many layers and many, many systems. The AWS cloud allowed us to build our own unified system to monitor the quality of service, and we never look back since. Today, our service area covers over 600 million people across Asia Pacific. Most importantly, areas that do not have sufficient connectivity.
Here in Lanai, Rizal, there is not any connectivity to the outside world. The shortest way for them to get it is they have to bring their cell phone to the mountain. The highest point, there is a tree they have to climb to get good signal.
Gumigising po kami na maaga, mga 3 AM po, tapos maglalakad na po kami pababa sa 2 to 3 foot para po makasagap ng signal. Bayad para lang po makapag-search ng mga sarili po namin.
But now, with the satellite, the dish communicates to the satellite and then it's beamed back to you. That whole process just takes a half a second or so. If you compare it to the cost of cable internet, the price of connecting the cable from this village to the road is probably 100 times what you will spend on a satellite connection.
With the efficiency and scalability of AWS, we have reduced the overall work by as much as 75%. Therefore, the internet is a lot more affordable and a lot more accessible.
kailangan po talaga ang ating mga estudyante ay equip na po sa digital. Kaya paglabas nila ng school, they will manage their own lives na.
Ako po gusto ko maging chef. Ako po gusto ko po maging sundalo. Gusto ko magluto para po sa mga bata na nagugutom. Ako po makatulong po sa bayan.
How it will affect the future, we're hoping that because of the connectivity, we have knowledgeable people in the community, then they can pioneer their future and have the power to say, no, we want this place to be a sanctuary.
I grew up in the Pacific with Fiji. Communications was hard to come by, so this is really a means to give back to the rural communities that I grew up as a part of. So what connectivity really means is to be able to connect to each other. Through the partnership of Pacific and AWS, we strive to give these young minds an opportunity to shoot for the stars.
So, going across my journey and sort of understanding, my why or how, in 2022, something shifted. I returned to the Philippines to retrace my ancestral roots, and this crazy image here is me accidentally discovering my great-grandfather's grave from the 1800s. We didn't know it existed there, but I, for some reason, found a bamboo stick and I started digging, and it was there beneath us this whole entire time. And similar to my heritage, I felt very similar in that notion that all you have to do is dig. And so this was kind of the crazy sort of moment for me when everything kind of made sense. After learning about my own origin story, I thought, why not focus on the origin story of our people? And so with this being said, I started my own restaurant here in Vegas called Historia. And so we are a pop-up restaurant here. So what that means is we rent restaurants on days they're closed, and we essentially rent them out with my chefs, my servers, my team of storytellers. And essentially we create immersive dining experiences connecting Filipinos, non-Filipinos to our diverse history. And we do this through storytelling. So the other learning here and that big takeaway here is story transforms research into, we use storytelling to transform research into community-based experiences. And so really the main focus here is being able to do that here for the space in Vegas. And so I also wanted to include some of these design slides because, I am speaking to a UX audience, but one of the things we really focused on when we were building Historia was to focus on, history in itself. You can see here that these were some of the oldest illustrations that we have to date from the Philippines. What they wore, what they dressed up as, what their tattoos were, and some of those earlier illustrations, they helped inform our color system today. So, I can go on and on about, how Historia has evolved itself from 2022. But one of the really cool things is it's an opportunity to really dig in and learn more about each of the different chapters across history. And so the pre-colonial chapter, folks don't know that the oldest Chinatown in the world actually happens to belong in the Philippines. And the largest minority population in the Philippines happens to be Muslim, right? And so, with that being said, I really wanted to focus on every chapter and share that with you all in Vegas. And so this is just a snippet of some of our dinners. So now we get into the good stuff, the meat. So I gave you all that context for a reason today. It's essentially letting you know that these three worlds have something in common. And I think the big three takeaways here is attention requires clarity, alignment requires narrative, and loyalty requires emotional connection. Heartstrings that you can pull to ensure that you have the appropriate story and the foundation to work with. And what is this framework, right? This is really important to dig a bit deeper in and get into the mechanics. But this is a 3-layer narrative sort of model that I kind of put together for you all today. And I realized this is something that I've been utilizing with all of my own stories. And so layer 1 is clarity. What do you do? Layer 2 is stakes. Why now? And why does it matter? And layer 3 is identity. Why you? If you miss one of these, your trust weakens. So when you're thinking or developing or ideating a new product, or you're starting a business, or you're helping find sustainability to help boost this business in the way that it needs to grow, think about these 3 things. Layer 1, clarify with clarity. Remove the jargon. If a non-technical friend can't explain it back, it's too complex. That's just my opinion, right? One of the things that we used to do with news, right? We would always ask ourselves with our friends when we ever would pitch in the 9 a.m. meetings, we'd be like, we would call our supporting points bar facts. And the reason why we called it bar facts was because if you told your best friend at a bar what the hell was going on in Ukraine, and they understood what that meant, you did something right. And so essentially, I think it's really important to have that clarification, that clarity. Layer 2, the stakes. Your audience must feel the consequence of the problem going unsolved. No stakes equals no urgency. The audience must feel consequence. Kind of like what you saw earlier in the Climate Next video. You saw parts of Zanzibar being affected by floods and erosions. What is the call to action? The takeaway is that now you see technology being a passageway solution to be able to restore their efforts on the ground there. And then layer 3 is identity, right? Similar to my own story as a second-generation Filipino-American, I really wanted to dig into my own origin story and figure the hell that I was trying to do for myself. And so even with the work that was happening, even though I had all these product launches at AWS, even though I had all these news explainers at USA Today, I still found time to pitch stories where I can dig into the identity story of the people that I spoke to. And so I want to show you this video to give you an analogy and kind of reset here.
No iceberg is coming near my family.
So when we're looking at brand building, we have to look at 2 different directions. The story we tell ourselves inside the building and the story we tell the world outside of it. And so the reason why I shared that is because storytelling is an iceberg. Marketing is the visible tip, but the foundation, the part that keeps you afloat, is your internal narrative. If the internal story is messy, the brand sinks. And so, yeah, just, I wanted to share that to reset ourselves, but AI is going crazy, y'all. I think just the fact that we can see that now. I actually saw another video where Jack didn't drown, and I was like, wow, there's so much happening with Sea Dance. So anyway, to keep it going, I broke it down into internal story drives and external story drives. So first, let's talk about the internal story. So this is your organization's operating system. And these are the things I kind of listed to help share this further. Your executive buy-in, the storytelling is the bridge between a raw idea and a green light. When leadership understands the why through a compelling narrative, you move from seeking permission to gaining partners. Cross-team alignment. This is about efficiency. When UX, engineering, and marketing all share the same narrative, you eliminate the friction of silos, and everyone is building within that same reality of being on the same page. Funding decisions. Ultimately, yes, resources follow clarity. Whether you are pitching for a new hire or a project budget, the person holding the check needs to see the stakes, as I mentioned in layer 3. A strong internal story makes the investment feel necessary, not optional. And so for the external story drives, this is now the bridge to your outward-facing audience. Remember earlier on, I was like, who here feels like it's just hooks across social, right? So how do you work in a really busy space with so much noise? Trust, customer trust. In a world of infinite choices, clarity is the precursor to trust. If a user can't understand your story within a few seconds, they assume you don't understand their problem. The brand perception bullet. This is how you position yourself against the noise. It's the difference between being seen as a utility and being seen as a leader. Emotional connection. Logic makes people think, but emotion makes them act. Features can be copied, but the emotional resonance of your story is your only true moat. And I think what's important here to note is that, oftentimes I hear so many really cool ideas. I actually have a lot of friends that kind of just want to pick my brain about how they can, enhance their brand and make it relatable for others. And the first thing I typically ask is, do you have an About Me page? And they're like, yeah, take a look. Sometimes it's like 2 or 3 sentences. And I'm like, yo, this is so much real estate. You can be doing so much more to tell your story. Do you have a video that represents you as a founder or the team that you're building or your product on that page? Because if we are seeing so much noise and they're there to check out your website, that's a missed opportunity for them to hear your story. And so I guess why video, right? Video is high leverage because it compresses complexity and humanizes the technology. It's strategic infrastructure, I learned that at AWS, that supports everything from recruiting to investor pitches. And this is why video is the highest leverage tool. And when you think about strategic infrastructure, I thought about my own experience with seeing how it supported product launches, creating storytelling systems. When working with dozens of agencies, it was always about, how can we tell, different stories through different personalities in the way that we're being brand compliant with the work that we do. And also we had to speak to other geographies. And so story is infrastructure, not decoration. And so here are just some ideas that I have where you can kind of leverage story as a need for some of these functions. Your founder story or your team story. How has your team expanded from where you are today? Do you have an opportunity where you've gone in and shared your team stories? Why are they passionate about the work that they do? How did they get there? Remember, why or how is super critical. Product launches. How does this operate? Why should I be interested in this product? Investor conversations. Sometimes people say wow, sometimes video is so costly and so expensive, and then I end up getting not enough views or engagement. But when you think about that, and we talked about evergreen, that is an opportunity for you to sit someone down and show parts of that video in the room. That type of experience where you can show that video to someone here, all today, I showed my documentary when I traveled to Zanzibar. That is an opportunity where I feel has the highest ROI because you all are listening. You all have, you all are attentive to what I'm sharing, but also it's an opportunity for me to not focus on the views, but the views that are here in the room. And that's what matters to me. And it should be to you. And so, yes, okay, a workshop. So if you have, I know we don't have any paper or pencils, but if you have a phone and you have your notes app, I actually would love for you all to kind of complete this sentence on your phone, if possible. We help blank do blank so that blank. Whatever work you're doing, whatever thing you're passionate about, fill in the blanks. And remember, remove acronyms, remove the jargon, remove the buzzword, or have healthy buzzwords. You got to make it clear. Oh, there's some seats over there if you wanted to. Yeah, okay, no worries. Yeah, take care. We help audience do action so that benefit. Remove the buzzwords, add the stakes. What happens if you don't exist? Again, I'm just going to repeat this. We help audience do action so that benefit. And to keep you moving along, here's what you can do to add stakes. What changes if you don't exist? Reminders, what happens if the problem remains unsolved? No stakes equals no urgency. I said that earlier on, audience must feel the consequence, right? And then adding identity. Why are you building this? What personal insight, frustration, or belief led you here? Features can be copied, but origin stories cannot. And so this is like your unique element. This is your distinction. This is why you do what you do. So I actually wanted to see if anyone would like to share. And we can take a few more seconds here, actually. How about this? I'll give everyone about, let's say, 1 more minute. And then for anyone who wants to kind of volunteer and share, more about what they do and what they help with, I think that'd be really awesome. We'll give it like 45 seconds. Thank you. All right, we are just at the 45-second marker. Does anyone want to share? Yes. Do you want to stand up and introduce yourself?
Wasn't part of the plan.
Sorry. Thank you.
I'm John. I'm a lumpia expert, so if you cook Filipino food, I can tell if it's good.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
So basically, our AI software, we help people do taxes so they can earn more money back on their refunds.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. And what is this business called?
It's mcmctax.com.
Got it. Okay.
So AI has literally replaced all CPAs with the change with the Big Beautiful Bill, the Child and all the CARES Act. 90% of CPA firms aren't ready to do taxes this year, but they're doing it. So with AI, it won't make a mistake. It's already, every topic that can be given back refunds is already programmed on a system. We did 400,000 clients last year. We're going to do 1 million this year.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. It's really awesome. Awesome. Anyone else like to share? I might call on y'all. Let's go with Sunshine. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sunshine. Yes, that is my real name because I am Filipino, and if you know any other Filipinos, these are the kinds of names. I am the founder of a business called Create Well, and this is perfect timing because we're launching this year. And so I wrote that We help burned out creatives with their relationship with their work so they can create from joy again.
Love that. Thank you for sharing, Sunshine. It's really important to kind of have those 3 simple things, especially when you're trying to get to the crux of your story, because that's going to move you forward and that's going to push you for where you need to be and where your other teams can also share that appropriately as well. Anyone else? We'll have one more person go and then we'll keep going.
Abigail.
Yeah, Abigail. Yes.
Hi, I'm Abigail. Let's do this meetup. This is my partner, Justin, and we're working on a premarital tool called Smart Marriage. So we help newly engaged couples have healthy financial conversations so that they feel confident in their marital future.
Wow, I love that. Wow. Thank you all for sharing. And, as you continue to, have your notes app and something that you can refer to moving forward, think about what you wrote and just have that in the back of your pocket, because chances are when someone asks for your elevator pitch, that can help, this sentence, this phrase can help influence the why for what you're creating. And like I said earlier, most teams get stuck. Messaging keeps changing. Launches feel chaotic. Videos feel expensive without feeling like there's ROI. Founder, can sometimes become the bottleneck, right? And so I think it's just, oftentimes we feel that there is a need to get out of this this pothole and just try to push forward with whatever you can do here in that space. And so basically, I would be remiss to kind of not tell you where I am in life and the direction that I'm going toward. But I noticed this gap in particular. A lot of these bullet points were things that my friends were mentioning and things that I could certainly help with supporting. And so after noticing a lot of these insights, I actually decided to quit my full-time job at AWS last December and pursue the next chapter. And so this is kind of a big thing because, I'm also taking a leap of faith. And right now, Astoria, we are deciding to expand our pop-up restaurant into a creative agency. And that's really special because I feel like I've had the opportunity to really work across these different sectors to be able to tell that story. And what better way to do that than to do it with my partner, Monica. So me and her have been working toward building this creative agency that can create solutions for people who need a landing board, a support system to be able to tell their story. And one of the things that was really cool was that, we were like, how can we do that for other brands? And so we actually, last year, a few months ago, we were invited to travel to the Philippines to do a documentary piece on a brand called Mamacita. They essentially are like the seasoning. They're like Heinz to your ketchup, right? To your mustard, to everything, to what you can put on some of your foods. So when we had the opportunity to tell their story, we were really excited with how that came to be. So I'm going to share a bit more here about that video and where that went.
Punta ka sa fishing capital of the Philippines, so it is very natural na malansa talaga. Pero yung malansang yon, ibig sabihin ng money.
We should celebrate the fact that there was an entrepreneur willing enough to go into this very risky market when it started out.
As a mother, she wanted us
to be fed all the time. I mean, there was always food because we are 11 brothers and sisters. She is a welcoming mother to all. When you visit her, there's always food to be shared. From going always to the market with my grandmother, she saw all the raw materials and she likes to buy a whole volume and then experiment with what she can do with all of that. Nabotas is a fish port. You could already smell the sea and we have to accept the flavors around us.
Kasi on the olden days, lahat ng tao sa Malabon marunong magpansit Malabon. Siguro, biniyayaan lang kami ng Panginoon ng talento sa pagluluto ng pansit Malabon. Nandun naman namin yung kumbaga, pinagyaman naman namin kung ano yung binigay sa amin. Siguro kaya binigyan niya kami ng Panginoon ng ganitong buhay, ganitong swerte.
They're very close to raw materials. They have fish and tinapay and all that. So she got used to using all these bones for preparing the broth and oysters, squid. So I could see that kind of atmosphere that you can smell food.
Pancit Palabok is unique in the sense that the original type of Pancit Palabok or Pancit Malabon had layers. Our earliest recipe is from 1934 and it would have very plain noodles, no flavoring, and then on top of that layer of noodles they would put a nice thick sauce that was very flavorful. And then on top of that wonderful sauce, they would add all sorts of special things like chicharron, smoked fish, and the crowning glory used to be oysters. Pancit Palabok is a little bit like our sweet dessert halo-halo, and it's up to you. You mix it in whatever way you want.
Kasi hindi rin naman namin iniisip na tatagal kami ng 40 years. Akala namin parang subog-subog lang nung una. Kasi hindi kami negosyanteng tao. Kasi kami ng taga-Malabon, mahilig kumain, mahilig tikman lahat.
And so when we published that video, it's on YouTube, the full thing is about 12 minutes long, right? But what was really cool was that we looked at some of the analytics that came with it, and it was highly engaged in the way that you're seeing now. I mean, compared to bigger brands, of course, maybe for something that doesn't have a paid media model or something to work with, you might get millions of views. But for something that was organic, where we had this, where we told the origin story of the seasoning through her children and the people that were in this environment, we had the opportunity to continue that legacy, to tell that story, and do it in a way where that story mattered, right? And so what narrative infrastructure looks like is, being able to clarify the core narrative, developing story systems, creating flagship brand videos, and building repeatable launch frameworks. Infrastructure is oftentimes something that you have to continue to remind yourself of. I remember when I was blessed with 50 plus product launches ahead of reInvent for AWS here in Vegas. But if you have these systems and the infrastructure where you're allowed to do that in the most distilled way possible, then you can create at the expense of not having to worry about what your brand story is. The brand will automatically feel like it can be shared through these videos that you're creating. And so if you don't define your story, the market defines it for you. So as I mentioned previously, clarity builds trust, and trust builds growth. And so for those just looking to do a bit more with their brand and to learn more about how storytelling can be key for all things while building the brand that you already have, I'm certainly here to help as well. One of the things that's been really cool is, Vegas here, we're building. I love seeing the Tech Alley community grow because of folks like Abigail and Justin really bringing it to the forefront and allowing people like myself to share my story. Few brands have narrative leadership, in my opinion. And I think when we get so busy into the mundane of the work that we're putting out and the product that we're going to put out into the world, yes, you might have the best water in the river, but how are you going to lead the horse to that river, right? And so that storytelling will be really key for you to bring folks to what your thing is and what you've poured your passion into. If you've poured your passion endlessly into the product that you're building, why not have a video that can also support that as well, right? And so, that's kind of the end to my presentation. I think if you're wanting to continue the conversation and you need, additional support or just someone that you want to chat with, this is my first Tech Alley event that I've spoken at, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to connect with all of you. I want to be your friend in this space, so if there's anything that I can do, let me know. Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh yeah, happy to. Yeah.
So I'm in the consumer app space.
Yeah.
And I work on the back end of that with just paywall monetization and optimization.
Yeah.
On the front end, I'm seeing a lot of new apps, they go from 0 to 300,000 a month, and it's literally just posting out these kind of low effort spam posts, and they get hundreds of thousands and millions of views, and that's how they initially get that ramped up revenue. So I'm curious just to hear your thoughts on using branded and storytelling kind of videos there, because they're very high quality, high production videos, but it just looks a little defeating to get 46,000 views on something that's really nicely well produced, where some shitpost with AI generated content
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of views that directly lead to downloads and business. So I'm just curious if working especially with these tech startups,
Yeah.
do you think this is a more this approach works better once you have an established brand and you are ready to tell a story to build more trust?
I'm so glad you asked that question. Actually, I have notes. I thought about that question going into it, so I actually typed, because I knew that it would be asked, especially in the world of AI, and I have my answer here. But I think when you're putting together a high-quality cinematic form of video to tell your brand or your story, you're actually selling to your audience a coherent piece of media that represents your brand and tells your story that they can repurpose again and again and again. And they can use that for future partnerships. Like I said earlier, if you have someone in the room that you have their full attention to, and it's a C-suite executive, hey, I got this video that I've invested into that really shares about our brand. I mean, when you have the levers at play or the balance, the weighing scale, it's when you have that C-suite executive in the room with you, do you want to show them the AI video that you pumped out, or do you want to share a piece that can bring that layer of quality that speaks to your product and the work that you've already done when speaking to them? And so oftentimes I'm I didn't want to show you the 15-second social cut downs. What I wanted to show you was the meat of the piece, because I feel that's the crux that can make you believe in the product even more. And then again, using it for future partnerships, investors, future clients, and stakeholders for years to come. I think that is a great way to hook in your audience and your customer base. But if you are looking for partners who can actually bring you more money into the business, to whether that's an investment, whether that's something that can bring your business to the next level. I just think about, what do I want to show them?
And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When looking for strategic partners,
Yes.
anything like that. So I learned a lot from the talk. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you. That's a really great question. I was like, I know someone's going to ask this. But yeah. Anything else? Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to piggyback off that and say, so, okay, the AI slot might get more raw clicks, but with a production such as yours, would each click perhaps be worth more because the type of person that would have the attention span to watch something like that, which is amazing, versus maybe the average internet user that's watching an AI slot, the person that would watch your video over the slot would spend more money at a particular business?
I think so too. I think
Quality customer.
Yeah, high quality customer. What's really cool too, what I've noticed is some businesses and restaurants, they actually have TVs now on display with videos about their brand. And so we're now going into a time and place where experience is money and time is money. And so if there's ever an opportunity to take that brand video that you have on your About Me page and actually put that in your office setting and you have that on replay, then that's one video that can help tell your story, and people will be like, wow, you actually care about wanting to build your brand. So it is a very noisy space right now, and it's my 2 cents on AI is interesting because I would use it to be not as a crutch, but something that I can use as a stepping stone. For me, whenever I create things of this nature, like the Mamacita piece, for example, I'm going to go to 11 Studio Labs and I'm going to create a mock voiceover with existing imagery that I can find from Firefly, right? And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to, chat, or even, use other AI-centric platforms to help build these mock-ups, these boards. If you're familiar with Runway, essentially it's these things that have allowed me to, on a customer front, like when I'm working with clients, they can see like, oh, I know what I'm going to be, what we're going to film. There's no question about, what image are you going to capture? How is the voiceover going to play or execute? Because I have those tools on hand. So really those AI tools are meant for me to make sure that I don't spend more money than I think I should. And it's crazy because I remember in a world like, 4 years ago, I was working on a client project and we didn't have enough budget. And what was needed was an animation that can get us there. I wish at the time I had more resourcing, but I ended up doing the animation myself. But with that being said, it would have been really nice to have charted everything out on Firefly, for example, give mock-up storyboards to the agency so we don't have to go back and do a repass and then have these overages come into play. So yeah, that was a tangent of an answer, but AI in itself, I feel, can be used as a stepping stone ultimately for us as humans to be the end-all be-all creator. Yeah.
That's it for questions. But we do have the room for 10 more minutes if you want to come up to Walbert
Yeah.
and talk to him. I'll be around if you have other questions or about this in your group, or if you want to get involved. The next session starts at 2:45, so that's the time that we need to get out of this room. But until then, you're more than welcome to. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.